Today I'm going to break away from the typical content I create and talk a little bit about my past. In 2017, a friend of mine, Gary Michael, was killed during a traffic stop. And before anybody jumps to conclusions, let me provide some context. Gary and I went to the police academy together, and we were both cops in the same jurisdiction. The only difference is I worked for the sheriff's office and he worked for the city. That being said, we still ran into each other on the job from time to time, as it is a smaller populated area. Gary was an Army veteran and newly hired onto the city police department. One night, Gary had pulled over a vehicle without knowing the malicious intentions of the driver. He pulled over a man named Ian McCarthy, who drove around with the intention of killing the first cop that pulled him over, and he did just that. Almost immediately after Gary initiated the traffic stop, McCarthy exited his vehicle with his rifle and fatally shot Gary through his vest multiple times. And even though Gary was fatally wounded, he was still able to return fire, wounding McCarthy. Gary was the kind of badass that smoked cigarettes during PT, and that is not a joke. The reason I'm bringing all of this up is because just recently, within the past week, McCarthy was finally convicted of first-degree murder of a police officer, and that is a crime that carries capital punishment. If you don't know what capital punishment is, it's when the state executes you. The jury in this case couldn't come to a unanimous decision in regards to sentencing, I imagine due to the weight of ending someone's life. So now, the decision whether or not to execute McCarthy is in the hands of the courts. I got the privilege of befriending Gary for a little over a year, and he was a solid dude. He was really happy, newly married, just landed the job of his dreams. So at least he died doing what he loved. I try to forget about stuff like this, but when it comes back up in the local news, it's kind of hard to forget. And in light of the things that have transpired in the years since his death, I feel like this needs to be said. He did nothing wrong. He was a good cop. He didn't deserve what happened to him, yet no one protested against criminals when he was killed. No political movements were ignited. Sure, the media covered it, but it wasn't plastered on national news on repeat for months on end. And I'm sure someone in the comments will praise his death. What I'm getting at here is it seems like when a cop dies, no one gives a shit. People celebrate it even. Despite the shit that cops see and have to deal with on a daily basis, most will never face those things. And it stays with you for life. Choosing the path that I chose changed my perspective from day one. Being exposed to the side of society I never knew existed so abundantly and frequently was a feeling I can't describe. It's a roller coaster of emotion, even years after setting foot in a patrol car. It's an underappreciated, thankless, and underrepresented job, yet I would argue one of the most necessary jobs for society to run at any level. I'm not here arguing that laws are inherently moral, because I would strongly disagree with that statement. I didn't do it for any other reason than I wanted to help people. Yes, cliche, I know. But I'm positive Gary did the same as well.